if you go to this,
it has started. It has started.
oh, okay,
It has
okay, right.
started, Nick. You can continue.
Okay,
Sorry, I was talking offline, but it has started.
okay,
Yeah.
looks good. Yeah, all right. So, the first thing I want all of us to do is to install R. And if you have you are in a browser, you can simply Google something like download R. So this should take you to a few pages opened. You can take this. So it will give you take you to the comprehensive R archive network where you can download R depending on your PC. If you are on Windows, you will have R for Windows. If you are on MacBook or Linux systems, you'll have the opportunity to download whichever you want. But I want us to go to also to open this link, POSIT or RStudio Desktop. So when you are in the RStudio or the POSIT website, you can see two options here: install R and install RStudio. So R is the programming language that we are going to be using, and then R has a user interface like a notebook where you can write your code. So this user interface is called RStudio. So we will need to install R. You can use R without RStudio, but having RStudio makes your work easier. So if you go to download R, those who can't find this website, I think I want to share this on the charts. If you go to download R, it will take you to comprehensive R archive network. So you choose for your operating system. Mine is Windows, so I'll just go to Windows. Okay. And then you can go to install R for the first time or just base. And then it gives you that. You go to download. So I don't need to download this because I already have R installed in my system. So for those who don't have it, please install, follow that step. Right. So I want to make sure that we all have R installed. Who can share their screen? Wycliffe, are you there? Do you have R installed in your computer? You can unmute yourself.
No, not really. I'm using my phone.
Okay.
Yeah.
Robert, Francis, George, Desi. Do we all have R installed? Have you followed the steps that I've just shown?
On my side, I already have R because I usually use R.
Okay. That's awesome.
On my end, still in progress.
Oh, it's downloading.
Yes.
Okay.
Mine is
My side also in progress.
still
downloading. Robert, yours is downloading.
Yes.
Okay. George, how far is yours?
In progress as well.
Okay.
Francis, you can mute yourself in the background.
Has anyone downloaded R now? We want to install it.
It is really downloading slowly.
Why is yours downloading slowly? Okay, then I will just want to also download so that I show you. I complete the steps of installation. I wanted one of us to share their screens so that we go through the
I have
installation.
downloaded.
Okay. So,
I've downloaded. Sorry.
So Daisy, can you share your screen?
Yes.
All right. Right. Okay, so
You
as you
can
wait, yeah, we can see your screen. As the others are still theirs are still downloading. Yeah, if you go to downloads, just click this R, 4.4. Double click.
Okay.
Can you go to your downloads? Your downloads folder on your PC.
Can you see my screen? It says, do you want to allow this app to make changes? Yes.
Oh, we can't see that, but now just say yes.
Okay.
You didn't allow us to see that.
Sorry. I'll
Okay,
say
okay. So,
you can
all
see
right.
my screen now.
Yes. I hope the rest can also see that. So just okay. Do okay.
Yes.
Next. Next. Verify message. Next. No, accept defaults. Yes, next.
I say yes.
No, just say accept default. No, say no, then next.
Okay. Sorry for the background noise.
No, it's okay. Then next again.
I can't avoid it. Sorry.
All right, next. So depending on your system, this should not take a long time. So R is installing.
How is the progress of other team? George, Robert, are you installing or what's the update?
Mine is still downloading.
George, Charles,
Daisy, go back to the installation window. Okay. So just say finish. That should be good. Now, the rest we should do what Daisy has done. We have to install R. That is when we'll go ahead. This class will be as practical as possible. The only way we learn programming and data analysis is by doing. You don't learn by watching, you learn by doing. So that is why we have to install the tools, so that as we learn, we will be learning by doing step by step. Okay, so updates. This you can stop sharing.
George, as yours gone success, because we are very cautious to leave somebody at this stage. Want to move together. That's why we are very patient with you. I know some already have it installed. You also had some basics. Were you reinstalling or?
Yes, I was trying to reinstall, and I've just noticed that my laptop being has some restrictions on download. So I'll seek support from my IT team, but that should be resolved in the morning. Apologies for that.
Okay,
Just
but you are
restrictions
able to
with the
see
installation of.
Okay.
Pardon?
But then now, yeah, that's fine. So let's just take note on the processes. The recording is also
Okay.
here, will always be posted in the YouTube. And Charles, we also encourage speaking. So it tells us whether you are also here.
Okay, I'm here with you guys, and unfortunately, I'm using my mobile phone. I can't access my laptop as for now, but we are together watching, and you said that the recordings will be on YouTube. I'll check, and make sure I keep up with the pace.
Good. You are calling from which area? Where are you?
At Kakamega.
Okay, good. Thank you so much. Let's continue. So,
Okay.
Mwalimu endelea.
Yeah, I think I want to reinstall my RStudio so that you see the steps. Mine has downloaded. So once you download, you just go to where it stores in your computer. Mine goes to the downloads folder. So if you double click this, it should open an installation setup. Say yes, and then next, then leave everything as default, and then this will install. So you give it a minute as it installs. So I'm installing because I think this will also update my RStudio. It updates after some time, updates periodically. Yeah. Good. So we have both tools installed. We have R installed and we have RStudio installed. So when you open your R, I pinned mine here, the taskbar. This is how R looks like. So you have a console here, and you have this the windows at the top. So here you have a file where you can create a new file, you can open a file, load a workspace if you have one, you can save your history and so on, or even change directory. So we will see, we'll work with all these, demonstrate and apply them. Okay, when you open RStudio, for the first time you will get something like this. So mine has a different color because I changed the color. So this is the RStudio interface. You have a console here where you can write code. See, this console looks exactly like what we have in R. So you can write code here. And then when you come bring this down, there is also this interface. Code can also be written here. You can create files, say Markdown files, or even R scripts. We're simply going to File, then New File, R scripts. And then your code can also go there, like we said, +5. Your code can also go here, and then you can run that code. And when you run the code in your script or Markdown, you will see that it executes in the console. Okay. Then we also have this. Is this right bottom window? So in this window, you have your files. You can see files or directories. From this window, you can also import your data, or you can navigate your machine to different directories. For example, if I wanted to get data from a file or from a directory in my computer, then I will just do that. Then it takes you to the directory. If you have data here, then all files will appear here. In this window also, you have plots. You can see, once you do your plots here, then you can see them here. Then the packages. So R, when we installed our R, it comes with base packages. They are basic packages that it comes with. But then you can, which if you come here, you can see, look at this. These are packages. So packages are libraries that contain functions that you can use in data manipulation. Like I said, R is made for data analysis or data science and statistics. So there are several packages that have been made that can help you work easier. As you also work with R, you will make your packages. So when you install R, it comes with a number of packages. For example, if you see here, you can see that there are some that have this tick mark. These come with the base R, so they come already installed, and they are ready to be used. Okay. So here you can also see packages. You can install packages from this window, just like that. You can update the packages that you need. You also have the help button where you can ask questions about the functions that you want to use. This will also help you to view your documents that you render or that you work with. Right. Then we have this window. This window is where your objects and imported data will appear. and it's been made easier so that you can even import your data by simply clicking. So I could import data from Excel, then you browse to where your data is. If you have some data, you might have some data ready. This is my PC. And this thing will lie online. Okay. You can do some, you can load some data. I wanted to do this. So that will preview your data. You can see the number of functionalities. You can import that data. It will appear there, right? So you see that your data is here. It appears here. So whenever you import data, it will appear here. If you create an object, it will appear in this environment. For example, you can create an object and say Y and call it, assign it a value 6. And you see Y appears here. Right. So that is it. That is RStudio, which is going to be helpful in our analysis. So let me just close this. I don't want this for now. All right. So once you have R, let me just load one of my documents we have here that I wanted us to go through in this session. So Handwrite tech, tech, data types in there. Right. That's another way of opening your files or documents. So I created an R script with the notes which I wanted us to discuss in this session. Discuss a few of them. So here I want to show you a number of data types in R that you will encounter as you work. So we have vectors, we have lists, we have arrays, matrices, data frames, and factors. Can you see my screen? Confirm that you can see my screen and it is visible.
Yes.
I can see your
Yes.
screen.
All right.
Yes.
All right. All right. So the class assumes no knowledge of R at all, that you have never used R before. So we will start from down as we climb to more advanced tools or use cases. So there are a number of data types in R. And so number one, we can do vector. I'm saying is the most basic data type in R. And then vector, we have two types of vectors, atomic vectors and lists, right? So we can create a vector. Let me just use my notes. So for example, here I'm creating a character vector called string.
Nick, I lost you. Or
combines the values inside that bracket. So we have, say, Charles. So
Nick, we have lost you. I think it's rejoining. Is Nick back? Hello, Nick. Okay, join. We are waiting for you. So I was disconnected and I was not even aware that he's not in class.
hello. I'm sorry. I didn't know I was out of class. I'm using this kind of network that really depends on clear skies. whenever the skies are not clear, it goes bad. So where did I lose you? I've been speaking to myself.
No, I can hear you. Maybe you can go back from the point of once you have downloaded R. I think that's where I lost you.
I have been lost that long.
Actually, at the point of creation of vectors.
Yeah.
Okay. 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 So we are looking at the data structures in R. Right? You said vectors. I've shown you how to create a vector, a character vector, then a numeric vector. So when you start using R scripts, you'll find it very interesting. So you can create a numeric vector.
Are you presenting already? I'm not seeing your screen.
Sure.
I'm not presenting. Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you for speaking out. So I was saying this way you can create a numeric vector.
But I don't know how you arrived at that place again.
How I arrived at numeric vector.
Yeah, Nick, you can start by explaining to them what this vector, this list, the metrics, the factors, so that now when you're applying, I think, as you mentioned, we are assuming the class, we are all starting at 0. So maybe you can explain what are all these vectors, lists, arrays, then now, how do you input them and you see the output, yeah.
All right. So I'm saying that we have.
Also, maybe you need to explain now because there you're not
sorry.
console. Go ahead.
All right. I'm saying that we have a number of data structures in R. That is how your data will appear. So I'm saying you can have data being vectors, or a list, or as an arrays, or they can be matrices. I think most of us are aware of what matrices are. We did that in maths. Then you can have them as data frames, and you can also have your data as a factor or factors. So we'll go through these one by one so that we see how they are. And I'm saying that vector is the most basic data structure in R. Okay. And I'm saying again that we have two types of vectors, that is atomic vectors and lists. So a list can be a vector. Okay. And then vector has different types. You can have character vector, numeric vector, integer vector, or logical vector, or you can even have a complex vector, right? Then I'm saying that we can do, I'm showing us how we can create or a structure of a vector by creating one. So I said, I don't need to do this again. So let's just go back to, so we created a vector called class 1.
May I ask a question, please? Apologies.
Yes, please.
In one of my readings, I've come across, I don't know if it is a data type or I don't know if it is not really appropriate here, but there's something called Boolean. What is the context of application of a Boolean? I don't know if it is a factor or a data type. Maybe if you can just expound a bit before proceeding.
Okay, Boolean is, Boolean can be either a vector or a list or even an array. Okay. So as we go, maybe you have gone ahead of us, but we look at what booleans are. That will come later, right? So don't worry about that. It's
That's
part of
okay.
this
Thank you.
course. Yeah.
Thank you.
So I'm saying we created a vector called class one with the elements Charles, Nick, George, and others. All right. And if you execute that and call it class one, you can see you have a vector of these elements. And then I said you can even check that what is the type of this vector by saying class, then having that vector there. It should be class one. Or you can use another function called type of, say class one. Again, it tells you that it's a character vector. So that is how we create a character vector. Then you can have a numeric vector. Which is that. Then you can have an integer vector. Anybody who can tell me what this function will do?
Okay, the function will give us a range of values from 1 to 10.
Good. It will give us a range of integer values from 1 to 10. So it will create a vector of values 1, 2, 3 to 10. Okay. So you can check what this is. Int and 3. Yeah. So we also have logical vectors. The logical vectors are true, false, true and false. So you can create that way. Then a complex vector that has complex numbers. So you can check the class or the type of vectors by using the functions, the function class, and then you have your object between the brackets. Okay. So we can also create empty vectors. You can go through this. I'll also share these notes. I want us to look at this. You can also examine vectors, examining vectors. So you have functions type of, length, class, str, which you can use to examine vectors. Okay. So for example, we had a class, a vector called class one. So we can check the length of the vector class one. So it tells you that vector class one has 4 elements. That is 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. So create another vector. If you look at the function str, then 1. Again, it tells you that this is a vector of characters and the dimensions. It's one row and 4 columns. The function str will tell you the dimension of a vector. All right. So we can also add elements in a vector. Right. So let's create a vector x1. Sorry. You're supposed to create it up first. So there's a vector x1, right? So we could do a type of str. So I call this So you have a vector x1 with the elements 2l, 4l, 5l, 7l. So type of this vector is integer. Then type of vector y is string. Whenever you are creating a string vector or a string variable in R or in most of the programming languages, then you put them inside within the quotation marks. Then we have length of x1, length of y1, and so on. Okay, so we can add elements in a vector. So like we want to add the elements 4.6 and 6.6 to the vector, it's x1. So this is the vector 2, 4, 5, 7. And you want to add the two elements to it. That is how you do it. If you check x1, you see we have added the elements here. Okay. If you check at the class of x1, now it's numeric. So previously it was integer, and then it's now numeric because you see we added the values we added are numeric. These are in numeric form, 4.6 and 6.6. And now once we add this, you see it even changes the values inside. It adds them the dot, so that it becomes one data type. A vector cannot have two data types. Okay. So we could as well add another element. And if you check again now, you see we have added another element called Java, and it has changed all the other elements to string or character type. And the class of this vector changes again to character. That's how we add elements in a vector. Then we have a series of vectors like we have seen before. One of you said it. So you can create a sequence just like we had before. So this will be, so this means that you create a sequence from 1 to 10, but you increase it by 0.1. All right. You could as well write it as we have it here. So a sequence from 10 to 100 by 5. That will give you 10, 15, 20 to 100. Right? Okay. So let's go to look at missing values. I'm saying that R supports missing data in vectors, and they are represented by NA. So when you start working with real data, you will see that there are a lot of missing values, and then you learn how to work with those as we go forward. So we are creating a vector X, assigning it to values A, NA, and so on. And then if you look, so there's a function is .NA. The function is .NA will check if there are null values in our vector. So wherever there is a null value, it will return true. Where there is a value, it returns false. So you see there is a value A, so it's false. It's not null. There's no value in the second column, so it returns true. Okay. So look at this is NA, Y. Everything returns false because there's no null value in the vector Y. Okay. So there are other special values in vectors like infinity and none, which you can explore later. Then we have matrices. So that is how we create a matrix. Right? So matrix is a data type with rows and columns. So you are moving further away from vectors. If you check this is a 2 by 2 matrix. We could as well create a matrix called M1 that way, and it looks like that. But this is a matrix with one column with values ranging from 1 to 3. So you can check the function dim or dim. Will give you the dimensions of that matrix. Okay. The type.
May I just add something? Let me add something. So, like for example, George is an epidemiologist. You are aware, you have learned something on 2 by 2 conditions. It's an epidemiological table matrix.
Is it the conditions of the
Yes,
table, right?
Yeah, so
Yes,
you can
yes,
have a summary of contingency table, then now you just come and do the findings and do your test or cross tab or association just by inputting the values. So that's what DMI, the matrix is demonstrating. So you don't have an entire data set, but then you just have a summary. Then now you want to test statistical significant difference in that contingency table. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Jeffrey, for that addition. We will apply all these concepts in real world data later. All right, so you don't need to worry. And there will be assignments for you where you can apply these basic fundamental principles of R programming in analyzing real world data. Okay, so we have other data types like array, lists, which I think you can again read through. I'll also share resources where you can read, you can see more about this. Then we have a data frame. Now, data frame is the most common type of data type structure that you will be using. Like when we imported the data from Excel to R, it imports as a data frame. So when you collect your data and it's in Excel or CSV or in whichever database you have, they will be there as a data frame. So data frame is the most common type of data structure that we will use in R. So this is a way of creating a data frame manually in R, right? So you are telling you are creating a data frame called df, and then here's the function that creates data frame, data.frame. Then you're telling it that you want to have a column called ID, and this ID should have values 1 to 10. So you can see that data frame is like a combination of vectors. Yeah, you have a vector ID with these elements. There's a vector X with these elements. Then there is a vector Y with these elements. All right. So you're telling it to have a column ID with values, with letters. It has letters, but there are 10 letters, 1 to 10. Then it has integer values from 1 to 10. It also has integer values from 11 to 20. So a data frame can have different types of data types, unlike vectors. So here you can have numeric, you can have other columns in logical, that is the true or false. You can also have integers and even character in the same data frame. All right. So we have several functions that we can use with data frame. That is, we have a head, we have tail. So head shows you the first 6 rows. If you say head, our data frame is called df. It will show you the first 6 rows. Okay. Then tail, df will show you the last 6 rows. Okay. Then dim or dim will give you the dimensions of the data structure. That is number of rows and number of columns. If you go to n rows, will give you number of rows. N col will give you number of columns. str structure of the data frame, that is the name, the type, and it also give you the preview of the data. So you can do say str of our data frame df. So it tells you that it is a data frame, that is the type. Then it also tells you that you have 10 observations out of 3 variables. So you have 10 rows and 3 variables. Then it gives you an overview of the data for each column. So there's the column ID, which is character. There's column X, which is integer, and column Y, which is integer. These are functions that you can use with the data frames. Okay, so you also have names, which will give the names for the data frame. Then apply data frame class. This is a function. So this will show you the class of each column of the data frame. Okay. So we can try that function, say apply. I think we will want to do this as our last class for today. So it tells you that the data frame df has these variables. This one is character, ID is character, X is integer, and Y is also an integer. So there's another important data types in R, which is called factors. I think I want us to go through factors next time. Then we will go through the use cases. You have a go and this class at this point. So
I think thank you so much, Nick. And maybe just to advise students, there's still a lot to go, and some you'll be able to read along the way. But again, we are very much focused into the practicality. So how do you apply it in the real world? So, but then we cannot go into application if you have not having exposed to some of these basics. So I think you'll go to our YouTube once the session is posted, familiarize yourself, do it in your personal practice in your own laptop, and that's how we learn. Thank you.
Yeah, and I will share some exercises covering the things we've covered in class now. All right. So we call it an end.
Unless there is, yeah. Anybody with any question? Meanwhile, again, we will meet on Tuesday. It's twice in a week. But the total sessions is close to 15. Of course, that includes practicals as well.
Okay.
Robert, do you have any question?
No, I don't have any question.
George? So 2 questions.
None.
There are some questions here. So Wycliffe has raised hand. Yeah.
Okay, mine is not maybe let me not call it a question, but I just had a suggestion. We can be shared with maybe topics to handle in our next class, so that we can just go through while our teacher is going on. I think we can follow with him.
Yeah, I think even today there will be some takeaway work which will be the next class will begin from there. So that's whatever the teacher had mentioned. But Nick, you can clarify.
Yeah, there's no problem. I think for the next class, I will share. I will even share the materials that we use in class, so you can also go through them as we go. As I said, the best way to learn this is by doing, not by watching. So, like I was demonstrating, almost everything I said must have been forgotten. So that's why we really emphasize the practicality part of it, that you have to get your hands to work on this. So I'll share everything, all the documents, even the course materials that you're using here, I'll share them with you. All right. Is that good, Wycliffe?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
So I think you keep watching checking our YouTube, you'll find the recordings there. So thank you so much, and we meet on Tuesday, same time.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay.